So I'm back with another kind of episode of free versus paid, comparing the Creation Club creations to some of those free alternatives available on Nexus and Bethesda.net. If you guys are living under a rock, basically Skyrim's Creation Club did come out this past week. It's enduring a soft launch basically right now. If you are on PC, you can get into the beta and get the survival mode for free. This mode is currently in beta, although largely feature complete. I imagine the only differences we could see is some tweaking of some of the different stats and stuff like that. Creation Club in its entirety should be releasing on PC, PS4, and Xbox One in the early weeks of October. So right off the bat, this is a free versus paid, so let's talk about the pricing component of this. Bethesda wanted to put a great PR twist on this new survival mode, so for that reason, for the first week of its release, it will actually be totally free to anyone that gets it. Basically, it's going to be free to purchase, so you're going to be able to kind of claim it at that point and never have to pay for this new mode. After that, it does cost 800 Creation Club credit. That's going to translate to about $8, but if you guys don't know, the way Creation Club works is you actually have to buy these credits in packs. There actually is a pack that costs exactly $8, but it only gives you 750 credits. So you're going to have to buy the $14.99 pack, which actually gives you a flat 1,500 credits. So even though survival mode is intrinsically only $8, you're going to have to spend a minimum of 15 to actually get it. Unless, of course, you take advantage of that free opportunity, but this is also a great point of reference because this is what Bethesda is evaluating this at. Interesting, since it's different than the $5 that we did see at E3. So what exactly does survival mode do? I'm going to be pretty brief here considering there is a ton of stuff online and I made a whole standalone video about this. Basically, it's going to add in some new components to the game, new things you have to worry about. That being hunger, coldness, as well as diseases stemming from them. Unlike Fallout 4 Survival, there's no real damage modifiers tied into this one. I'm going to be making a lot of comparisons between this survival and Fallout 4 Survival because that's the one I'm most experienced with. So basically now you're going to have a hunger component to you. You're going to have to eat food or drink drinks to build up your hunger. If you don't take care of this, there's going to be certain debuffs to your character. You're also going to have to sleep from time to time. Having a regular sleep cycle is going to be very imperative to not getting any of those associated debuffs. And then finally, one of the most integral parts of this is actually the cold-warm part. As you do traverse through some of the colder regions of Skyrim, you're going to have kind of debuffs to your character. They actually created a map so the regions are specifically separated. There's going to be warm regions, cool regions, and specifically cold regions. Even further, weather actually plays a role. So if it's snowing or raining, that's also going to make you a bit colder. To counteract this, you also have to keep yourself warm. All the different armors in the game are actually going to have a warm rating now, so when you are comparing armor A to armor B, in addition to the defensive stat, you actually have to worry about how warm this will keep you. There's also fires and things like that that can keep you warm. Eating soup will keep you warm. The way warmness works is, as far as armor goes, it's basically going to make it so you could last in the cold a bit longer. Then there's also the other aspect of standing next to a fire, which is going to reduce your overall cold level. There are also some other changes made here. There's no more fast traveling. Your overall carry weight is reduced, as well as you actually do have weight to things like arrows and whatnot. And the other real major change here is actually to level up, you're going to have to sleep. So to spend any of those skill points, you are going to have to find a bed and kind of rest there for at least a short while. Again, there's a lot more depth to this. I'm only briefly going over some of these subjects, so I really encourage you to kind of inform yourself on those if you do want to know more. So even though all these aspects of the game are now implemented, they're definitely not weighted evenly. Certain things are going to kind of change the way you play way more. I really found food to be mostly an afterthought. I started the game with alternate start, and even at really low and early levels, I had plenty of coin to buy enough food to get myself through many days if I needed to. Largely, as long as you sleep once a day, you'll mostly be fine, and the debuffs from that really didn't seem to hinder me as much as coldness. On the flip side, I was playing in a particularly cold region, but you had to play around this more so than anything else. Not having fast travel to quickly travel from point A to point B did the stamina deficits from your character getting cold really had a pretty big impact. I found myself playing around the temperature more so than anything else. If it was really cold, I had to kind of think, alright, where am I going to stop to warm up, or my stamina bar will be greatly diminished. Even further, it starts to impact your health if you really get to some of the more severe things, and if you're playing this on Legendary like I was, health is a pretty integral part to the game. You're going to have to worry about that. The thing is here though, this is only going to be a big deal in the colder regions. In the warmer regions, unless there was some severe weather, this really wasn't an issue because you weren't actively getting cold. It wasn't this bar that that was consistently draining, you were just kind of at a mean level and you stayed there. I guess now I should explain some of the UI elements. The way you know most of this is going on is for the warmth and the coldness, there's going to be a little icon at the top of your screen. If you're getting colder, it'll be kind of a freezing icon. You'll see that a lot. But once you go inside or stand next to a fire, there will also be a warm icon that will kind of balance things out. Even further, as you do get a bunch of the debuffs associated with these different components to the game, it'll be a little darker red bar on either your stamina, your health, your magicka. One of the most frustrating parts about this new mod is basically in order to see how you actually stand right now, like if you're hungry or if you're freezing, you have to go into your magic menu, and it's going to be a little thing at the bottom called active effects. This was extremely frustrating. You had to basically go through 2 clicks whenever you wanted to find out how hungry you were. Obviously, you could learn eventually to track the different bars on screen, but just having a little on-screen icon that said like, hey, you're hungry right now, or a icon that gets darker or something similar to how it is for warm and cold would be a huge improvement. And it's really something that I felt like was lacking here. I found myself consistently getting frustrated and having to look through this menu. With that being said, I really felt like this mod created a pretty nice natural progression. There's a number of times where I found myself waking up to go do a quest. I would make sure I bought enough food for that day, which again was really easy. Normally I just had enough stuff on my character. Then you go do your quest, maybe level up, turn in the quest, and then you have to figure out, all right, I'm kind of cold now throughout the day, warm up somehow, whether it be next to a fire or a torch or just go indoors. But then as night approached, you probably killed enough enemies or did whatever to actually have a level up, as well as you had a lot of fatigue building up, so you had to go sleep. So then go back to another major city, find an inn, and sleep there until the next day and rinse and repeat. The developer here, whoever it may be, I'm sure it's not publicly known knowledge, did a really good job at kind of creating this. You're gonna have to eat a few times a day and kind of go back and sleep once a day. And then you sleep, spend those skill points, and everything's merry. This is a supernatural system, and without a doubt one of the strong points of this mod. One thing I didn't super touch on in the beginning is diseases. That's a component here too. Overcoming these are pretty difficult. Not having fast travel is gonna make it difficult to get to a lot of those shrines, and actually curing your diseases wasn't just a simple thing like popping a pill. This is another thing I really noticed. I don't know if this deserves a nerf in the future, but granted I was still early on, but I got a disease and made it kind of my priority 1 to cure that disease, and it even progressed to the next stage. It took me that long to actually be able to fix it. So to summarize my thoughts, basically I really like the natural cycle this creates. I think it really lacks icons. That's something I would love to see in the future, especially with the amount of money you have to spend on this. That's just a level of polish that I expect. But now let's look at some of the free alternatives and what they bring to the table. I'm going to be a lot more brief with these because you guys probably have a lot more experience with them. There's 3 pretty popular mods that are going to be the most obvious comparison here. They're mods you probably already have downloaded. That's going to be Forstfall, which does require Campfire. So those 2 mods kind of go together. These are going to be by Chesco, a really talented mod author that I hope gets an opportunity to express his skills in Creation Club, nudge nudge. And then iNeed, which is a mod by Usoku. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but whatever. You can find links to those down below. Again, these are totally free, available for Skyrim and Skyrim Special Edition. So if you want a super streamlined and quick opinion on this, the difference between the survival mode and the combination of this free mods is the survival mode has less features, but the features it does have are much more seamlessly integrated. Being able to see how much warmth clothes provide is really obviously there. It's just right next to the armor rating. It looks like something that would have been in the natural game. Even further, at the end of every single food object in this game, you actually get to see how much hunger that will satisfy. It kind of gives you an arbitrary number like 220 hunger, which what the hell does that mean? The game doesn't explain that to you. You'll eventually learn to figure it out, but it really isn't introduced all that well. But regardless, a number of these features, including the weather cycle and how the warmth and the coldness impacts you, is much more seamlessly integrated with the survival mode through Creation Club. The ability to work with the game on a more fundamental level really shows here, and it just really becomes evident by the way this stuff is integrated and how seamless it is. But at the same time, it's definitely not feature rich. Even though this one costs $8, it doesn't have camping, which is a major component of Forstfall. I'm not going to explain to you all the things Campfire adds in, but it's a lot, ranging from armor pieces, items, tents you can build, bigger tents you could build. There's a lot of new features here, and even just a lot of hours of gameplay to have here. You really didn't get that feeling from survival. It was more just kind of a changing of the way the game's played, but you were still doing most of the same stuff. Campfire really made it so you were doing different things. It was augmenting the game. Survival is making it so, yeah, you're still going to go through the same progression of doing different quests, doing different side quests, but then halfway through you're going to have to go and be like, alright, well, I have to stop in this town to sleep here and level up and buy some food. Campfire made it so you're like, alright, so let's check this out. How do I build a camp? How do I build a fire for my camp? Maybe I'll cook some food in my new camp. The feature difference here is going to be really obvious. Even further, it actually spreads to iNeed. Just as simple as iNeed is food, water, and sleep. Survival only has food and sleep. Water is is more or less pretty irrelevant. It has a flat hunger rating that'll kind of benefit you somewhat, but not really. You largely could play through survival in its entirety without even ever worrying about drinking a thing. And even further, these two other mods have the benefit of some really nice on-screen icons like you do see with Fallout 4. This is largely going to be due to the abilities of some of the aftermarket modding tools like SKSE, SkyUI. I mean, at the end of the day, if you want a simple answer, the free alternatives are better. The $8 does not justify the cooler or more seamless integration. The free mods have just had more time to be built up, to have constant updates added to them. If you want to compare the two apples to apples, yes, the things that the free mods do that survival also does is done better by survival. It's just simply that it's not done that much better. And at the same time, the free mods have so many more features that I would be using them even if they were paid. So that's going to be my comparison. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments down below if you guys are playing on survival. I really think this is an overpriced game mode that is cool, has a lot of potential, but is really lacking on the content side of things, especially for $8. As always, I thank you guys for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys all next time. Later.